Okay, record. Okay, we're recording. Okay, so Diane, yeah, so does it come in all one file or did she send you
They were separate files.
separate files? Okay.
CSV files.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what VBO wanted, were CSV files.
I think that's kind of what everybody's gonna want, no matter what you go with. So, okay. All right. I just haven't really, I exported kind of the basic information on my own and I've been cleaning that up.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll ask her for some more. So yeah, great stuff.
I'm looking for it right now. I'll let you know. Here we go. Files exported from Sabo. Gladys. She did donations. She did allocations, which I'm not positive what those are.
Okay.
She did event instances, price levels,
connected to them, but I don't think they have any more answers.
ticketable events.
Okay.
Right?
Probably not.
I don't think
Attributes.
Kim, you're not muted.
Okay.
Notes.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay, I'll reach out and just see. I mean, I don't know, personally, I don't know how much I'm going to import, and I may just try to keep it cleaner, just kind of tag people versus try to import a ton of ticketing history, but that's just me. So,
Yep. That's why we're taking our time.
yeah, I'm going to do the same since we don't have any shows coming up. So, yeah, we're just, for those who are just joining, we're just jumping right in, kind of just very informal. We're just chit-chatting. I'll just throw out a few things. I know Diane is live with VBO. Victoria, I believe you're getting in the weeds now with VBO. I guess we can talk a little bit about those who are still making decisions and kind of go back and forth with that. I will say, just in the way of updates, some of you probably have heard from Steve Garcia, our former Sabo guy. He is now with Ticket Search. He's been named the COO over there, and he has reached out to some of us to try to make deals with Ticket Search, because that's probably the closest product to Seat Advisor. I did hear from some that he was saying that VBO is going to get bought out by Patron Manager.
Oh,
I did ask Mike point blank yesterday on my follow-up demo, what's the deal? And he and Janelle and Caitlin were like, what? They hadn't heard that rumor. Mike assured me that he does not believe that there's any credibility to it. He's in very closely with the owners, and they don't have any imaginings that they would want to merge or be acquired by another company. He said, right now for them, they feel this is a good time to be, their own company, because they are getting more customers from, those of us that are coming off of Sabo, and they feel that they're doing very well financially and all of that. So it was reassuring to me. I'll just throw that out there. I don't know where the stuff is coming from, but there's that. So, and I know, and for those of you that know Steve, I mean, I've worked with Steve for, 11 years, and I love Steve, but he is a salesman. So he's gonna, plant seeds of doubt if he can to try to get us to, second guess if those of us that are making our decisions to go toward VBO and try to get us to switch to Ticket Search. So, he does a great job, and he's all well-meaning for his own company, so no hard feelings there or anything. But as far as I can tell, there is not necessarily any credibility. I don't think any of us have to worry about that at this point. So, but anything can happen. But that's my 2 cents for that piece of the conversation. So, does anybody else have any burning questions or things they want to share before we kind of jump into more stories of, from those of us that are deeper in the decision-making process, and then those who are maybe still just all over the board? Anybody, again, want to keep it very informal for this one, and just kind of have you guys just be able to have an open discussion. So anybody want to start us out? don't have my, and you can just, there's enough of us, you guys can just unmute yourself and jump in. I don't think we have to do the formal raising of hands.
Well, I can tell you that VBO was very helpful. Caitlin's been very helpful in that whole process. There was maybe once I went 24 hours without hearing something, but it was also during a point where I'd been asking a whole slew of questions, and since then I don't know. I think every time we've reached out to Caitlin, she's been back immediately. She must live at her computer, I think.
I'm feeling a little called out here.
But they've been really speedy. And I also, like Caitlin had said earlier, I have a sense that if there's something that that we really needed them to do, and of course right now, again, I'm sorry, this week's been just a kind of a panic. If there was something we really wanted changed with them, I have a sense that they, maybe not immediately, but they might work to make that happen. You know, there are things that are definitely different than Sabo. Like, okay, I'll throw one out there. You know how in Sabo, you could name 26 different kinds of tickets on those hold sheets, hold maps, whatever they were, hold things. Mm-hmm. You could designate 26 holds by letter, and they have 6. And 2 of those 6 are tables. We don't use tables. So all you have are handicap seats, companion seats that can only be purchased with a handicap seat, offline, Marcus sold, and then you have the 2 table options. So I had to be creative, and the seats I had X'd off for COVID, because I'm not using their COVID seat distance, social distancing thing. I'm using what we came up with this time. I had to use Marcus sold, which is a little X to show all of the COVID things. And then there were the handicap things. That was okay. And offline, I don't know, it was not as user-friendly as Sabo's 26 options.
I do agree with you that is something I would love to have as well, because when I was working in theater manager, we had a ton, like, you could customize your own holds. And I love that in theater manager, and VVO does not have that, and I would love to have it as well. So,
let you work on that, hey?
Yeah. I will. Yeah, I will tell Mike coming out of this meeting that, hey, this is really something that the whole group thought was a great feature that should be brought over. I will definitely put a bug in the ear over there.
You.
Yeah,
Caitlin, that would be
too.
Caitlin, that would be really great if they did that and also had kill seats, because I like the option, because you could my staff, if they had the ability to do it, they could sell my holds when I told them they can, but the kill seats they never could.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Would you so if VBO made something, because I know in theater manager it was like letters, and every letter, like B was box office, D was development, M was marketing, whatever. So would you just assign like your K letter as kill, or do you want something completely different?
I mean, I could do that. It's just that in Sabo, it was nice to have the kill seats, because it wasn't part of the letters, because then no one, not even I don't believe, could actually sell those seats, because sometimes I have tech tables that are going to be in the hall, not all the time. And so if I killed those off for that show, unless I went back in, I could reopen it, but no one could mistakenly sell those.
And I was just on a demo. I was helping Lawrence out with some extra stuff, and this did come up in that one, where if you take something offline, or if you have a hold or something on the back end, or if you do it, it's not available for the patron online to get access to those offline seats or those marked as sold seats. But in the back end on the box office, you can override that. And so one of your students I could talk, and it's happened, I could talk till I'm blue in the face of like, guys, if you see a black X, never sell that black X. They could still do it.
Right.
Like the patron online wouldn't have access, but my student can override that.
Right.
And it's happened, and I've hunted them down, and I found them for doing that.
Yeah.
So, so that is something important to know, that's a huge training point that you have to have, is you can always override things on the back end in the box office. And I just threaten my staff, don't Title IX report me or anything, but
And there's not a permission thing there either that you could withhold permission. It's just flat out open.
yep.
Yeah, and that's a concern. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
I always used Z for kills because it's at the end. Kills kind of sounds like a Z, but it kept it way at the bottom, so nobody was actually, if they don't scroll, they wouldn't have a reason to see it. And I kept it at the bottom, but definitely we would, Caitlin, very much like to see something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, I would always do holds for music department, development department. So like I think I used all 26, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think when I was in
Emergencies.
theater manager, they let you use all the letters and symbols. I
Oh,
think when I was in that system. So we had like, I think we had D was something else, but then like our dollar sign was development or something like that. So
Nice.
yeah, that's something I agree with you all that I would love.
Yeah. Sabo did that also.
Mhm.
Oh,
mhm.
did it with symbols?
Yes.
Wow.
I used the star or multiplication sign.
Huh.
I don't remember that.
I don't either.
I just had the letters.
I ran out of the letters all the time. So
Yeah.
But it was nice that you could name the letters yourself in Sabo.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it wasn't predetermined.
Yes.
That was good.
right, and I also liked the fact that you could eventually Seat Advisor got to the place where patrons could purchase those holds online if they had certain criteria. You know, a pop-up would come up that they had to click through.
Mhm.
That's what I like that too. You know, you could give like with the handicap seats and the ADA.
There's another thing that caused us a bit of, it was, I don't know, we just didn't like how it looked. When we'd have a show, there'd be a listing, and then you'd click for more information or to buy seats, and what you would see immediately was the seat map for the show. You didn't have the description first. You didn't have the video first. It was like, okay, buy a ticket, but they didn't necessarily have all their information yet.
That all shows up at the bottom below the seat map.
Yeah. So we asked Mark to please move that for us. And he did, so that now at least he couldn't put the video above the seat map, but he at least has the description and the photo and then the seat map. And then I put a little note in there that said scroll to the bottom for video. So it still isn't perfect, but again, I'm hoping by next year, maybe we can twist an arm and get that so it looks more like we would want it to look. And there are a bunch of things that were just kind of clunky that we didn't like, but they, again, Mark went in there, and if Keith couldn't do it, Mark changed the CSS so that it looked the way we wanted it to.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if that's helpful or not, but.
Caitlin, you said you work with theater manager also, and you've also worked with, well, you are in VBO. What is your comparisons between the two?
Well, I don't know if the comparison would be super helpful now because I worked in the server-based theater manager. I've never worked in the cloud-based theater manager, and from what I hear, the two are pretty drastically different between cloud-based and server-based. So I can't speak to the cloud-based version. The server-based was fine. It was just, we needed a cloud-based solution. I remember when I worked in the server-based one, the online purchasing was really bad. Like the connection between an online sale and the back end, like we had customers who had problems left and right with the online sale process. And then it would result in like no online sales. We had to do all this service over the phone and in the box office. And we could have definitely limited our labor if we had like a functioning online system. But I think from what I've heard, the online system with the cloud base is good. So that's really all I know about it. I don't know anything about cloud-based TM.
So I think we're still, I mean, for those of us who made a decision and move forward, I think we're still kind of talking VBO, theater manager, and audience view are still, I think, the top 3 on Ticket Search. Is anybody like thinking their top choice is something other than VBO at this point? Or, you know, that's moving forward and thinking that their number 1 is something else? Because I don't want to make this all about VBO today. So John, go ahead. What do you like?
I'm 99% sure we're going to move forward with theater manager.
Okay.
I need to have our business office look at the contract and my 5-year projection to confirm that they're okay with it. But my 5-year projection, theater manager is more expensive up front. A 5-year span, they're the most economical choice, at least for us, from the spreadsheet that I put together. And when we did the demos, you know, all 3 of them were pretty comparable in terms of how we felt about the demos, but both Cynthia and Sharon really liked, or at least Cynthia did, I don't know if Sharon said she did or didn't, preferred the user interface with theater manager above the other 2. Audience view is off the table for us, just 3. And so we're not even considering them. If my business office comes back to us and says no to theater manager, then VBO would be our choice.
Okay. You said audience view is off the table. Why? I mean, you broke up just a touch.
The expense. It is, so the way I broke down my 5-year projection, I ended up doing an estimate that was basically a per ticket cost that rolled in merchant services, email marketing, the software itself, and audience view was $1.85 per ticket. VBO was $1.70 per ticket, and theater manager is $1.47 per ticket. That's, again, spread out over 5 years. Todd was also, you know, because the first year is so heavy with fees, I asked him if he would be willing to spread those first year fees over 2 or even 3 years, and they are doing that for
Oh, cool. Wow,
me.
that's a lot of work, John. Good for you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Anybody else going the theater manager route, or thinking they're going that way? How about audience view? So audience view, I got a revised proposal from them. They dropped the price, but it's still, and I was looking at the campus product of it. So it was, I think that is probably significantly less than the professional product. The campus seemed like a really good fit for me. But I've been talking more with my IT folks and some of the bells and whistles to like interface with the college card system and things like that. It was like, yeah, it sounds great, but like, you know, we're a small campus. So it was like, realistically, are students really going to use it? Are they going to log on and this and that and everything? And then, you know, my IT guy was like, yeah. And then there's the nightmare of every time our one card system has to upgrade, we're probably going to have to do something to interface with the ticketing system. He's like, yeah, no, we didn't think it was worth the extra cost. And there are things that I can do in VBO to have, you know, student access to comps and things like that. So we that sort of dropped to the bottom, to the third space on my top 3. I left Ticket Search at the 2 position just because I was like, well, I mean, like, honestly, if there was nothing else out there at this point, Ticket Search, I think, would be fine to go to as a lateral move from Sabo. But I don't know. To me, and Jen, I don't know if you want to speak to this too, because you actually had a demo with Garnett. I did the demo, and I don't know. I felt like with Ticket Search, it felt almost too much like Sabo, where like my same frustrations and limitations were going to be there. And I'm like, and compared to the customizability of VBO and probably something like Theater Manager, I'm like, I feel like we've moved on a little bit better. But Jen, what was your take from the Ticket Search demo?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like, and Brenna's on the call too. She can speak to this as well. But as soon as we finished the demo, I went out and talked with her, and we both kind of were like, meh. Like, it would be fine. If there were no other ticket alternatives, it would do the things we needed to do. It would be fine. But it just wasn't as exciting as some of the other options that we looked at, and didn't maybe have some of the bells and whistles, if you will, that some of the other software programs had. It's functional. And I think that their pricing, they were willing to match our stable pricing, and that he said until COVID is over, and I don't know what that means. But it seems like it would be a fairly inexpensive entry point for somebody if you're struggling to maybe meet the costs of some of the other softwares. It would be functional. It just wasn't as exciting.
Yeah. Brenna, did you want to add anything?
Much covered it all, and as she said, it was perfectly adequate. But if we're going,
Excuse me.
Brenna, it's really hard to hear you. I don't know if you're.
Sorry about that. I will try to talk a little bit louder.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Sorry, my mic was away from my face. But yeah, as Jen said, adequate system, but we wanted to see if we could do better since we're going through all of this fuss anyway. And I think that in our demo specifically, it was just working against Garnet that it seemed really disorganized. So a disorganized demo was just reflecting rather poorly on an adequate software.
Thanks. Yeah. And then too, I guess my little bit of a red flag with Ticket Search is just they're so new to the North America market. And I'm like, I don't know. I told somebody, I'm like, I think honestly, I told Victoria, I'm like, if somebody's going to get scooped up and bought out, I feel like it's them. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. You know, is anybody thinking they might go with Ticket Search or Audience View for that matter?
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
And, kind of look behind from Audience View and tag for Audience View was for what I was expecting.
Jillian, you're breaking up really bad. Maybe try to turn your video. That might
Am I there?
help your connection. Now you're frozen, or you're just very, very still and not talking. Might have lost Jillian.
Well, Jillian's fixing that. I do want to say that Steve Garcia did reach out to me, and he did say that any Sabo user that comes to him, they would pin down a price for 2 years, that they would match Seat Advisor's price for 2 years for them. So I'm thinking he's willing to negotiate. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't jump ship and go with him. We're staying with VBO.
Okay. Jillian has disappeared, so maybe she'll come back. Pat, go ahead.
Hi, I came in late, Lonnie, but did anybody get a price for VBO for downloading that software?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's confidential or not, but I can say they pretty much matched my Sabo deal.
Okay.
I think and honestly, because they also offer a percentage of comps that are not subject to the per ticket fee, whereas with Sabo, I was paying my per ticket fee on every comp as well. So it's actually going to end up saving me a little bit. And then for me personally, they did not impose a minimum or a maximum number of tickets. So that will help as well, because I always had shortfalls because I had a minimum. So if I didn't meet my minimum with Seat Advisor, I would have to basically pay them. So it ended up with Seat Advisor being almost an annual fee for me, because I was on the hook for it if I didn't sell the tickets at my per ticket fee. So with VBO, they matched my Seat Advisor. There's a percentage of comps that are not subject to the fee, and there's no minimum. So in my view, it's a better deal than seat advisor even had for me.
Our community theater here in Verona uses VBO, and I do tickets for them. And before we were totally online, I was using it quite a bit to help people, and it was very user friendly. The community theater loves it, and now they're totally online with that program. So that's just a plus from me to say that it's pretty workable. I don't know about installing it or anything, but for customers, it's been very good. And who's your contact person for that?
Janelle has been working with most of us.
Okay.
And Caitlin, who's on the call too, is kind of our resident contact as well for VBO.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to look into it more, Caitlin can connect you with the right people as well. And, or you can, Caitlin has been so generous with her time and done some like demos with us and given us, you know, an inside look. If you just kind of want to see it from the user end, Caitlin's right here. And then Caitlin, can you put your email in the chat for Pat? Cause I know, I don't know if you're anywhere like on any of our directories because it's probably all Paul's.
Yeah, it's all Paul. Yeah, he's like, I really need to just pay for your membership to the group, and I'm like, yes, you do.
I had a hand. I thought I saw Victoria's hand, and then Kim.
Sorry, I just wanted to say thank you for Caitlin very much. You've been right there whenever we had questions.
Yeah.
And I will say that with VBO, Caitlin said they negotiate. They negotiate. They really will. They'll work through you with what your needs are, and they will get it right down to what you can do. So that was very pleasant.
All right.
Yeah, and if I can say right after Victoria, I agree. The negotiations were very quick. I mean, I stuck with the Sabo deal, and then I did have a few extra things I was looking at and just added, and they were like, yep, let me just take a look at approval, and they got back to me right away. We got the agreement looked at. As all our contracts, I took out a lot of stuff. I crossed off things. I added things. They took a couple of days, looked it over as a team, and says, we agree with all your changes, initials signed, and now I'm just waiting for the provost to sign. So it was a very easy process so far. And I'm glad to hear that Diane's having a good onboarding process. And the expectations, I know the system's not gonna do everything that I wish it could do. Sabo didn't either. But the system is also doing the things that Sabo couldn't do that I'm very much looking forward to, like in registration. I can't wait to start using that part of the system.
Great. Thanks, Tiana. Oh, Jillian's back. Yay. Kim, you talk, and then we'll see if we can have Jillian share what she was going to say before.
What I was going to say was actually for Jillian. She said that she's been having problems with her internet this morning, but if she's on right now and working, then we can have her talk. Otherwise, I know what she's gonna say.
Okay.
So basically just thank you, Kim, because I was like frantically texting her as I'm trying to reboot all of my stuff here. But basically, we are leaning toward VBO. We haven't formally decided yet. I actually just received proposals from both VBO and audience view.
So
Jillian, you're breaking up again.
Yep. So exactly what she was going to say. Her update is we're leaning towards VBO, just got proposals from them and audience view.
Okay. Oh, poor Jillian.
We've gotten proposals from all three, with the third one being theater manager. And I don't know if I'm going to listen to ticket search or not. I was okay with time prior to that, but now there are things I like about each one of them. I wanted to like theater manager more, but by the third hour of the demo, I was just like, I can't. And everything was right, Kimberly, right, Kimberly. And I mentally just started to shut down. But if I was going to pick right now, I'd probably go with VBO, but we're not finalized yet.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything else they want to share on the products specifically? Because I have a couple other questions in general. So Caitlin mentioned yesterday about needing to keep like 7 years of financial info. Does anybody know like what we should keep out of SABO, what we should run so that if we get audited, we're not up a river without a paddle? I don't know, like, so like I just reached out this morning to my business office just to ask like what data do I think I need, because I don't know if, since all of my deposits essentially ran through my business office as the end user, I don't know, since like I did SABO as my credit card processing, so like they captured all of the customer information, and so I just don't, but some of that isn't even saved in the system, like credit card numbers and things like that. So
Right.
I guess Caitlin and I weren't really sure. So I wondered if anybody on this call knows, like, what specifically do you have to keep for 7 years so that you don't get in IRS jail?
Go to the IRS website and
Okay.
ask what you need to save. Like we have it posted on bank boxes that we have in the building. So we know what paper materials you can get rid of at which point. And then you have to have it all shredded, or you should. But the IRS does that, have a posting of what is required and then how many years exactly.
Okay.
And everything, there's a little variation.
Okay.
My business office, I have to give them a transaction history every day of everything, and they keep that.
Okay.
Mine's the same as Victoria. So I send them, so we use authorized.net for our credit card, third-party company. So we actually don't use the ticketing system to process our credit cards. But so when I send out my reports, now mine has to be every Monday, full transactions, everything in detail to them. But I do keep the copy on my own for 7 years, and then it gets cross-shredded after that. So I think you should be able to have all that. So when you decide on your date to pull all your information, just make sure it's almost like the operator reconciliation report could suffice for 7 years, because it has full details, who bought, and then how did they pay.
Yeah.
One of the big things. I do know a lot about some of the auditing things. So if you ever want to talk one-on-one, because when I started off in this career at UW Platteville, I was the box office manager starting off, and I got audited on stuff I was a former student, so it wasn't anything that I did in reports, and an audit usually only takes, a couple of weeks, and ours was 2 to 3 months, just because there was just so much that you can't just give comp tickets out to just anyone. You can't do it for gifts. There were so many pieces with it. So I learned a lot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. I want to cover my butt on that. So, Diane.
Can I ask Caitlin a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they bill, BBO bills on Mondays for the prior week. So what is the cutoff there? So if you sell a ticket on one Monday and then you want to refund it before they charge you for that ticket, it was a comp or whatever, or a mistake, when do they actually process?
Yeah, let me look at one of my invoices.
Oh, it'd be on the invoice. Okay, I have gotten one of those.
Yeah, so in the invoice section, you can see, so like our last invoice ran from Tuesday, October 13th to Monday, October 19th.
Okay.
And then it was paid on the 20th.
Okay.
So it's from Tuesday to Monday, then you pay that prior week.
Okay, that makes sense. He said Monday to Monday, and I thought, well.
Yeah, so Tuesday at 12 a.m. to Monday at 11:59 p.m.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
So another question I'll throw out, does anybody, because we're having them look into this for us, does anybody's organization have Blackbaud for their development? Because we are trying to figure out if there would be some kind of interface, and Dave or somebody's going to get back to us on that. Jen, do you guys have?
Yeah, our advancement office is using Razor's Edge, and I remember when we did our audience view demo that they said that there was a way that they could interface that with Razor's Edge so that donation reports could just go right to them and they could deal with it. I don't remember hearing anything about that from VBO, but that would be a great thing if that was a future development for us.
Yeah. And Caitlin, if you want to write that down, that's one of those things I think, because I remember specifically there was like an automated way that audience view could have that filter in, like, and you could set every day, every week, whatever.
Yeah, I know that Janelle was going to look into the API for Blackbaud, but I will definitely follow up on that for the group.
Thanks. Yeah, that'd be great. Other questions or feedback from maybe those who just are still haven't decided or just want to know anything else?
I've got a question about thoughts that people are having. Has anybody thought about, since we don't really know when we're going to put our next show on the stage, deep down, we really don't know, do we? That they're just somewhere to put our information and hold it and not have a ticketing system for right now? I mean, has anybody even thought that way, or am I just the only one out there that's thinking this is a way to save money?
I've thought about the fact that I'm not going to be actually selling tickets, and that's one of the reasons I liked VBOs, because again, it's my understanding of the contract is if I don't sell a ticket, I'm not paying.
Right.
So it is, for me, it is just going to be just a database for, and one of the things that I'm looking at is, as I realize we have our December 31st deadline and then Sabo's gone. So as long as I harvest what I need out of Sabo, like I'm like Diane, I'm not in a rush to get my whole database up and like cleaned up. Like I have time, which is actually kind of nice. I mean, as much as it sucks that we're in a pandemic, this is all happening, I have a lot of time from January through, essentially probably April and May before I really would want that, like everything cleaned up in there and ready to roll. So that is one of the reasons why I think, VBO is a good fit for us right now, because it isn't, we're not paying an annual fee when we're not selling tickets. But so are you asking, like, Kim, like, is there like some other just data management, or would you like just harvest your data from Sabo but then wait to sign on with a ticket until you think you're going to sell tickets again? And that's why I don't know that there's a huge rush, other than like my fear would be is if, as we're going through the process of shifting over, if there was something that I needed out of Sabo that I didn't grab, then I'm SOL. But were you going to say something? And then Tiana has her hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna to Lonnie's point, absolutely, that is how it works. So if you're not selling tickets, you're not paying for anything. The benefit to, if VBO were something that you went with, is still being able to use the CRM and run reports and then like do marketing from that. I mean, you could sift through the CSV files that Sabo gives you to try to develop some sort of like marketing list or mailing list or email list or something like that. So with VBO, if you did import all that stuff, you could still run the list you need and do some marketing at least, or, patron management through the CRM. So that will be a benefit. But I mean, if you think that you're going to be at a standstill, then I think the only issue would be, like Lonnie said, if you don't have access to Sabo anymore when you actually do onboard, that it might hurt you. But I mean, that's not a terrible idea just to wait.
You can sell gift certificates though and accept donations.
Yeah, you could process donations and still sell gift certificates. So there's
live events too, which is stream or virtual events too. That's what I like. Yeah.
One idea too that I had, even if I'm not selling tickets and I still have a box office staff that I have student workers, so they still need a job. was once I get everything into VBO, kind of running some lists and maybe having them like make calls to check on updated addresses, things like that, just as busy work. But I mean, if I'm looking legitimately at my ticketing history out of Sabo, there are some that haven't bought a ticket in 2 or 3 years. So maybe, and then there's some where I have missing phone numbers or missing emails. And so especially with VBO matching up the email addresses, like I might just put lists together for my students to call and say, can I get your current email address, or is this still current? So there's that's
Sure.
to, have the system going that you can start updating it in real time. Okay, so Pat, and then unless maybe what you were going to say is not anymore. Yeah, go ahead, Pat, and then Tiana. And you're still on mute, Pat.
Sorry, I lost it. My question is a little different. I just wanted to know if we've been using brown paper tickets, and I'm assuming, are out of business, and we are not getting any money from them. Has anybody else run into a problem like that? And how are you handling the lack of funds from those companies?
Okay, so not getting paid. Tiana, did you have something to speak to before we jump into that new topic?
So sorry, I gotta plug my laptop before it dies. 1 second. So I am one of the venues that needs something immediately, because we are doing live events, even if it's just for our Carthage students, and we are going to bring in, so right now we're not doing guest artists this fall, but spring we got granted, because we've been doing things safely. The Kenosha Health Department is really impressed. So we are going to have safely just for our students, guest artists, limited seating. It's only 50 people, but we're doing it. So I can let you know how VBO works in the spring, because we start, classes now start January 12th, and we have a gallery opening the second week after classes start. So I can let you know how it rolls, because yeah, from whenever the provost signs and we get our onboarding date, we have to build all our maps, get everything in less than a couple of months. So I can let you know how it kind of rolls out. For Brown Paper Bag, yeah, I was told they went out of business, and I hear a lot of people are having a hard time getting their revenue. So I don't know. That might be a legal thing, Pat.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably
Yeah, we've
yeah.
sent them a letter through our lawyer, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're filing bankruptcy or what, but if they're going bankrupt, there should be some sort of legal process that gets people back those funds.
Yeah, hopefully they do file bankruptcy, because then they can get the funds to pay you the revenue that you are owed. But if they don't, yeah, I have no idea how that goes.
Yeah.
And this is a benefit with any ticketing system you go with. This is the benefit of having your own gateway and not subscribing to the gateway that's with the ticketing software, because having your own gateway, and this is how VBO does it, which we see only benefits, is VBO is just a pass through. They don't hold any of your money. They don't touch any credit card information. It goes straight from the patron's computer to your payment gateway that you have set up. So the liability of PCI compliance through VBO is very low. So this way it goes straight to your bank account. VBO can't hold anything for you, and other ticketing softwares where you use your own gateway, they're not touching your money. So that is a huge benefit. If whatever ticketing software you go with, I mean, I think we have all learned from this, whatever software you go with, if you can use your own gateway, use your own gateway.
Okay.
And I don't even know if that was an option with brown paper tickets. And like that might have been a required thing where you had to use their gateway.
Yeah, it was. Okay, thank you.
Tiana and Jen.
Yeah, to piggyback what Caitlin said, just anyone who's going with audience view, just be aware to have your own gateway, because that was one of my decision makings, is that I decided to do Google reviews on them, and venues are giving them a very low review right now because they have not received their revenue prior to the pandemic. Like any money they had that was in their own host they have not received any of those funds. So that was concerning me, and how they were running these deals that you have to do it now, sign now. It made me very insecure that they do not have the funds to move forward with these venues. So just keep an eye on that, and definitely get your own gateways if you can, so they can't take your money from you.
Thanks. Jen, go ahead.
While we're on the subject of payment gateways, we were using CyberSource with Sabo, and that does not work with VBO, so we'll have to get a new payment gateway. So I see there are several people who are using Authorize.net. I would just ask any issues or any like horror stories from any other companies that anybody's had problems with.
Nope. I run Auth.net and we've never had any issues.
And
So
so
yeah, we use Authorize.net and it works great. No issue ever.
Okay, perfect.
is
That's
that
probably
the
what we'll go with.
same? Is Authorize? So Authorize.net is the gateway, but then there's also the merchant service. And thanks. I just wanted to get around to John put a question in the chat about the merchant service. So like I think ours is Heartland as the merchant
too.
service, and then Authorize.net is our gateway.
Yep. That will.
I think that all works with VBO.
It does.
So John, just to throw out there, Heartland I think is good. I mean, that's been, I think, what our college has used. I think that's what Caitlin has.
We use.
As a merchant service, this is all, I don't understand this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the gateway, I know Authorize.net is fine with VBO and theater manager.
Yeah.
So is there others that people are good, as far as merchant services, just to answer John's question of if they're shopping for a company?
Yeah, so we so the college did let the box office break away a year ago, a little over a year ago. So the college as a whole is under Heartland. Never had any problems. The credit card machines that VBO has are only work through 360 payments as a merchant provider. So we wanted to make the upgrade with these credit card machines. So we did have to go through all the red tape at the college for them to allow us to break off of Heartland and start our own merchant contract with 360 payments. And then we still have Auth.net as a gateway through 360 payments. Yeah, we don't have a problem with 360. They're really good too. And really it's the same thing since we've got Auth.net as a gateway. There wasn't much change there.
Cool. I saw Victoria, then Cynthia.
I was just going to say real quick, Jen, we had CyberSource with Seat Advisor, and our company was TSYS. That was my rep for them. And I called them, and they said, not a problem. They just turn a switch to Authorize.net. It's just that easy. So
cool. Good to know. Cynthia, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm researching the merchant services right now, and while we use we also use Point. Well, we use Point, which is the Open Edge, but then we use the Square for concessions. Does anybody use Square for all of their credit card
transactions? I don't think Square works with VBO. I think I know they work with PayPal, but I don't think Square is an option for that. I can triple check the options on the.
I just thought, because right now we have two. One is Square, and then one is the Open Edge. And if we could combine them, it would be nice. But unless there's something else.
Did you talk to theater about that?
No, not. I don't think that came up until. Okay. It's just something we're looking at. What with everything else?
I know.
Yeah. Just to clarify, the Square transactions that we use are strictly concessions and fundraising right now. So it's separate from the box office. I don't know this for a fact, but I think Square is maybe a little nervous for the amount of traffic that we would have through the box office. But I'll reach out to Todd, Cynthia, and find out, if Square is an option to use.
Yeah, I just looked at the gateway options for VBO, and Square shows up as an option, but I would like to confirm that it actually works and it's not just living there happily ever after.
Victoria, go ahead.
I already answered. That's what I was answering about.
Oh, I lower your hand. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Any other like just nitty gritty stuff? I mean, you know, some of the stuff with the merchant service and the gateways and all of that was like, oh yeah, I can't, you know. So I know that'll be a fun part of the process. That's where my IT folks get to come in and help me out. And
It's a pain doing your own merchant and gateway stuff. It's a pain to get it set up.
Yeah.
But it's worth it compared to using it. I mean, the easy route is just being like, yeah, sure, I'll use your gateway and stuff, but we've kind of all been screwed over by that. So getting it set up, understanding the difference between a merchant and a gateway, like it took me forever. I'm like, y'all, I need like a play-by-play. I don't understand the difference between these two. It makes my brain hurt. But now I get it. And now it makes sense, and just like understanding what the whole process is kind of sucks. But once you get it turned on, it's fine.
Cool. Pat, go ahead.
Okay, because we're a volunteer nonprofit organization here, to set this all up, we don't have IT people. Is this a big thing? I mean, are we going to be able to do this, or who should I call to help me do this?
Pat, so you don't have a box office, do you?
No.
Okay, so because I would imagine if you don't have a physical box office, you don't necessarily need like credit card swiping hardware and things like that. If it's all going to be online,
right?
Then I mean, you still, what you would need is like, you have a bank account, I assume, right?
Right.
Set it all up to go. So basically the idea is that you want the funds to go directly into your bank account, and then however you would reconcile that. So you're basically just cutting out the middleman of like that brown paper tickets or whoever is collecting your funds and then sending them to you. They just be coming directly to you. So
okay.
A different process probably of reconciling your bank books.
All right. So whoever I
oversimplify it.
Yeah. So I can contact somebody at VBO and they'll help me do all this.
Yeah, they should. They should be able to at least recommend. And I might even recommend maybe going with. I know they work with PayPal, the PayFlow Pro, as a gateway. And I also work with the Symphony in Green Bay, and we have a PayPal account for a lot of our stuff. And I think PayPal is pretty user friendly.
Right.
So that might be a good option to go with for a gateway.
Okay. All right.
And then it would just be whoever your volunteer is that like sets up your website or manages your website would be the one probably, you know, and then I'm sure again, I know you're all volunteer, but somebody has to build the events and things like that for the tickets. So just be the collaboration of once they're built, then whoever runs your website would be posting them there. I mean, it would work probably very similar.
Okay.
And before I go to Diane, Pat, I just wanted to say too, I think it would be helpful if you sent an email out to the listserv asking about the getting your money back, or if what happens if the company has gone out of business, since there's maybe somebody on there that has gone through something like that in the past. And I just think that would be a good resource for you. So I would say go ahead and send that question out to the whole listserv, because somebody may say, oh yeah, and give you good advice, which I don't have for you.
Okay. All right.
You
were talking about WPN list.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Diane, then I saw Victoria's hand.
Okay, I hate all this stuff too. Ugh, So I'm sitting here thinking, who's my merchant service? Where do I have merchant services through? Is ClearPay one? You know, ClearPay? We have authorized.net, but
that's your gateway.
Right, but we don't have Heartland or 360 or. Ugh.
ClearPay Financial Solutions.
Okay.
You're not going to get any of your money. It's all going to go to a black hole somewhere.
Get our money
in July.
we get our money. I don't know. I think it's authorized.net.
Yeah, I think ClearPay is your merchant provider
Thank you.
based on this website that I.
A statement,
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you.
Diane, do you get a statement from a monthly? So it should say on the top of the statement, like ours
Okay.
says Open Edge at the top of it, even though Point is technically what
Yeah.
the system
Okay.
is. It
Okay.
comes from Open Edge,
Got
and
it.
it lists all of the transactions
Right.
in that month.
Okay, that would be ClearPay for us. Or
Yeah. So ClearPay is your merchant.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I was
See, we're all arts people. What do we know?
Who took their business classes?
We just put on shows. We don't do this stuff.
right.
Right.
Victoria, go ahead.
Kind of the same along lines. You were saying in the chat too. You were asking this question about getting your money back from. We did a prepay 3-year contract with Seat Advisor. Now, Tom, my boss, Robbins, has said that something's going around WPN listserv, which I don't have access to unless Tom gives it to me. That says that somebody says that Seat Advisor is not giving that money back, or they're having problems with it. Has anybody heard that?
I haven't heard that. So I emailed,
Brooke.
hold on, like the VP, hold on, let me look it up real quickly here. So I was hearing back about, he got taken off. Oh, Bruce is the new one. So Jason I was working with initially. And so he brought in Bruce Morrison, who I don't know exactly. He's the VP of Strategic Partnerships of Patron Technology. No, that's Jason. So anyway, Bruce removed Jason from the system, and then he just said, when are you looking to are you leaving earlier than the December 31st? And I said, yeah, I'd like to. So I laid out a whole pro rate from him because our contract started July 18th, and I'm going until November 24th or 25th. And then after that, I want to be reimbursed. And I have not heard back from him, and it's been over a week. So, I mean, and it's quite a bit of money. I mean, I know you did a 3-year contract. So, I mean, if we don't hear from them, then Carthage will have to have their lawyers submit stuff. I'm hoping we don't have to resort to that. If they're going out of business, I'm a little curious of how they're going to be able to pay us all back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would hope that since Seat Advisor was part of a bigger Patron Technology and they have other platforms still up and running, that it would be in their best interest to make sure we get our money back,
Yeah. So
Yeah,
no one has actually done, I mean, because I did say, this is the amount, please agree to it, or let me know if my numbers don't work out, if you have other numbers. And then I said that you need to make the check out to Carthage College, because they said, how do you want the refund? And they said it needs to be attention to me so that they know that I know that I receive it. And then I had nothing after that to confirm the date, because I told them I need it on this date. You can shut it down the morning of this date.
Okay. Yeah, because Tom Robbins started freaking out yesterday, telling me to get all my information now because he wanted to start the process. And because he said, WPN said the money's not coming back. That's what he's heard. So
I haven't seen anything on the listserv, so I don't know if that's a private conversation he's having with some folks, but I haven't seen or heard anything. John, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Unmute is a good thing to do. Yeah, I also reached out to Jason Mastrine, and he copied in Bruce Morrison, so the same deal. And this was just yesterday, so I'm not quite as far behind. But they both were pretty confident that we were going to get, we had the upfront contract fee, and they're confident that we're going to get that 25 or 50% of that back sometime in January, give or take. We do have to keep Sabo up through the end of December because we have an event on the calendar for December 21st right now, which theater manager, we may or may not be able to transfer over to theater manager to finish those sales, but we'll at least start those sales in Sabo.
Gotcha.
So I'm being optimistic, and we're going to get our money back.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I agree. I'll let you know. It sounds like I'm one of the ones that are going to hopefully get my refund sooner because we're not using it after Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping that But I haven't, have you, John, agreed on a prorate amount? Have they done that with you yet?
No, he has not confirmed. That's why he brought Bruce in.
Yeah.
I said, I assume that we're going to get 50% of our upfront fee, but I don't know that for a fact. So I'm waiting for Bruce to confirm or clarify that.
Yeah, because Bruce just said our plan was to issue refunds for unused remaining time on licenses in December. If you're planning to be off Seat Advisor system earlier, please let me know and we can discuss an arrangement.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I have so far.
That feels to me like we're going to get the.
Yeah. I can't imagine they wouldn't honor it. That'd be really bad publicity.
Right, and we're only 5 months into a 3-year upfront contract we paid for, you know, so substantial money.
Yeah. Cynthia, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and it sounds like regardless of when you're ending it, it's a process that should be started right away. Because I'm assuming that, with the group of us that are using Sable now, nationwide, it's got to be just out of control. On what Diane was asking about regarding merchant services, I put something in the chat with some links that John had sent me when I was researching them that might be, because I too am confused between the two, and that might be a little help to get you to the answer that you need.
Thanks, Cynthia. All right, well, it is 12:33, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I think this has been very, very helpful to me, just to, just all the nitty gritty stuff. I think a lot of us sound like we're in really good spots. So let me go ahead and stop the recording.